last week. So, all right, let's move along to defense now. We'll go our nickel against their 11 personnel. Look who it is, boys. It's Joey Flacco, 60.2, the 30th highest graded quarterback in the league. The running back they got listed as Brown at a 53.6. Boy, Chase Brown been cheeks. He been absolute cheeks at 53.6. So if that is their number one running back, that's a rough look for them. Offensive line from left to right, Brown Jr., 57, Fairchild, 45, Karras, center, 49, Rivers, right guard, 43, and Mims, right tackle, 50. That is ugly. That is really. We thought our line looked ugly on PFF grades. My God, that looks hideous. So when you look at our defensive line, Micah Parsons, the second highest graded edge rusher, 92.7. Carl Brooks in the middle of the 54. Devontae Wyatt, obviously, probably not going to be playing in this game. I'd be very, very surprised if he makes his appearance in this game. Of course, he's listed as 72.6. It shows you why they scored, I think, on five. They scored 5 touchdowns, Dallas did, once he went out of the game.
Yeah.
They didn't score any while he was in the game. And then Rashawn Gary grading out a 69.6. Last I heard, I want to say he was top 3 in sacks, even though we didn't play last week. So we'll see if he continues up his hot streak. What do y'all think about the trenches matchup there between the Browns and the Packers?
Multi-sack game for Micah Parsons. I just have a feeling. And then my next reaction is, who do you guys think is going to be the answer, with Wyatt not being in there? Do you think they shift some guys around, start LVN? What is the approach? Are we going to go with, Kobe Wooden?
I think where they play so much 11 personnel, Tim, I think you're going to see a lot of cheetah package. So I think what you're going to see in Wyatt's place is a lot of LVN this week. I really do. I hope that's the case.
Cool.
So that'd be my answer. What about you, Jake? What's your answer today?
That's what I would hope. I mean, I really do think that gives us a different, even on, if it's not necessarily, correct me if I'm wrong, but is a cheetah package more usually designed for like a 3rd and long or like a 2nd and long type situation to get those guys out there? But I really do feel like LVN can do enough where that it could work in short yardage situations if we have to do it in a pinch. I also like what Brooks and Wooden have done this year, how they've progressed. The PFF grade isn't hot for both of them right now, but I do think that they're playing a little bit better than maybe what that grade dictates. And I don't know if we can just absolutely try to get in, like, I like what you said, Tim. Something feels like Parsons, he wanted to have, like Amelia said last night, he wants to put that trophy on the wall. He wants to hang that he's sacked Joe Flacco, and apparently he still hasn't. So he gets another shot at that. I don't see him as a type of player that's going to, not use that opportunity. And then to get Gary in there as well. Like I want Gary to be leading the league in sacks. I mean, it would just make me, I'd have a smile from ear to ear.
For sure. I think Brooks could prove to be the X factor though, if we get a hell of a game out of Carl Brooks, which I feel like he's due. He's there. PFF grade isn't there, but like you said, I don't know, man. I think cheetah package or not, which obviously is going to, play to the advantage of Micah getting that sack on Flacco that he's looking for. But I'd like to see Carl Brooks have a hell of a game. That would really help stabilize things in the middle, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And to Jacob's point where he said that's more of a pass rush package, the Browns are, in terms of rushing yards per carry, they are 24th in the league at 3.9. So if there's a game where you could feel, and LVM plays the run pretty well. So if there's a game where you feel comfortable, all right, let's mark.
You said Browns, you mean Bengals?
Or Bengals. I apologize.
That's kind of what Deadfish was saying here. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me double check that because I did have that cross up. Cincinnati is actually 31st. Thank you for pointing that out, Jake. They're 31st at 3.1 yards per carry. So, this you shouldn't go out there with any worry of, well, should we play LVN at 3 tech even though it's not a pass rush situation? This will be the game to maybe see if he can do it, kind of on a dominant basis. So Coach Lynn says he would want to see Wooden step up again. That would be awesome. Absolutely. Which I'm going to pull up another tab on the side here. I want to kind of cross check these because some of these guys, obviously they're not showing in the starting lineup, but I want to be able to give you guys grades on them to see exactly how they do grade out. Kobe Wooden as opposed to Carl Brooks, and both of them are lined up predominantly in the 1 tech in our nickel 4-2-5. You've actually got Kobe Wooden is grading out a 62.9, so significantly better than Carl Brooks as it sits right now. Nazir Stackhouse, I know people want to see him, 38.3, man. I think you need to kind of take a step back and go, okay, let's sit back and learn a little bit, big fella, because this ain't working out right now, you know?
Yeah. But this could be one of those games, like you said, with Cincinnati's O-line, man, right? Like if you get a lead, maybe you get them some reps out there, you know?
And LVN a 73.3 on the year. His run defense grade 68.1. So that's the way I would like to see him go, is just let him play 3-tech. Wherever you would play Wyatt typically, just let LVN go out there and play that. And then if you're worried about, okay, what about the edge rotation? Enigbare is playing pretty good football as well. You got Enigbare right now. It's grading out as a 72.6. So let him be that rotational edge defender and let LVN focus on 3-tech, and you'll probably call up Warren Brinson for depth. So it's going to be Carl Brooks, Kobe Wooden, LVN with the 3-tech rotation, and obviously those other two guys playing 1-tech. You don't want to see LVN playing 1-tech unless you're playing a jam front. You'd be okay with that because he can handle that interior that way because there's extra help, obviously, on the line of scrimmage. Moving on to the linebackers here.
Real quick, Clayton. Not So Cool was wondering if you could just quick shout out what Xavier's ranking is. We can't. Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, it's a 60.1 is what McKinney's is. So,
gotcha.
Yeah, we'll get to the safeties here in just a second, too. We'll kind of break it all down. So they're tight end Sample, right? Cheeks his whole career, and he's playing the worst football he's ever played, according to PFF, right? So obviously not overly concerned with him. Our linebacking core, Edgerrin Cooper, 73.8. Quay Walker, 63.2. Solid. That's starting caliber. Linebacker play from your stack backers and your nickel 4-2-5. Like the matchup there a lot, especially against the run as well. I mean, there's nothing that you look at here from PFF standpoint that you go, in a little bit of trouble there. It looks like they're going to have to double team Parsons, right?
Yep.
Which is going to give Gary plenty of opportunity to eat. If they double team Parsons and they chip Gary, LVN is in the 3-tech. If he is in the 3-tech, he should be able to dominate his matchup. They got to kind of pick their poison. I don't see any reason to get overly aggressive blitzing these linebackers this week, man. Just play this thing. Let them play aggressive at the mid level. But don't get crazy giving them opportunities by blitzing them. We did it against Flacco. Remember when we played the Browns, Tim?
Yeah,
I got so frustrated on Chalk Talk because it's like, why are we blitzing Flacco right here? Why are we doing this? Like,
why were we running so much cover one man at Flacco? Also was like mind-boggling to me. So, and it's on tape. Maybe this could play to our advantage, guys. Actually, we understand what we did wrong in that Cleveland game, and now we get Joey Flacco again here with probably an even worse offensive line in front of him than he had in Cleveland. I think it's an opportunity that you're right. If you play aggressive when you need to, and then, stay fundamentally sound, you shouldn't give up too many deep balls and you shouldn't give up too many chunk runs. You should keep everything in front of you. And honestly, I think, it depends on what Cincinnati's approach is going to be. I will say this, I get a little nervous about, not nervous, but Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are still on the field, and they've got a quarterback who knows how to get the ball to a receiver. So I would anticipate anything they try to do over the air is going to be quick, fast, and in a hurry. And to your point, Clayton, your middle linebackers need to be able to be aggressive in the middle and not be washing themselves out of a play because you're trying to rush 5 or 6 guys.
Yeah. And as Six-ish says here, I'm not extremely confident. I'm not sold on a win. Nobody should be 6. Hopefully everybody's learned their lesson by now. That's the big thing here. Now let's talk about the Tuesday player in Chase. Chase is a respect orange. It feels like when you retake a test. Jamar Chase, 76.8. He's the 16th highest graded wide receiver. This is your Tuesday player. He and T. Higgins is kind of a borderline Tuesday player on offense. Trey Hendrickson's your Tuesday player on defense, obviously. So Jamar Chase, 76.8, guys, throughout his career, 85.3, 83.9, 85.3, 85.8, 76.8. The numbers would suggest he's going to take a step forward, right? Not necessarily this game, but as the season goes along. But those numbers that are inflated, for the most part, have also had Joe Burrow as his quarterback. That's a big difference there, right? And Flacco played like cheeks last week, the last time he started for the Browns, which was the week before last, I think it was. He looked really, really bad. I can't remember what team was it. It was the Lions that beat him, right? I couldn't tell you how many passes he just missed. Absolutely. I'm just thinking, boy, I'd love to have that against the Packers, where he was just missing open throws from time to time. But Jamar Chase, he's going to get his. Just don't let him beat you for the explosive plays. Make them work underneath. Make Flacco become check down Charlie. Don't give up those deep passes for sure.
Absolutely. Hopefully we keep McKinney out of the box. Stop buzzing him down in the box. Let's let him stay home and do what he does this week. Because that's a not a concern. What is a concern? I mean, it's their best offensive player, right? Jamar Chase. So I think you want to keep McKinney and Williams, well into the secondary just in case. Again, keep everything in front of you.
Yeah, and the big difference between the Packers defense this year and last year, in my opinion, just schematically, is last year they played a lot more cover 6 defense, and McKinney was one of those deep quarters, and that's how he was getting those picks, right? He was in the box, and then he was falling back out and picking passes off. Hopefully they go that route this week, and like I said, keep that cover 4 of the cover 6 over on Jamar Chase's side for sure. And Coach Lynn said Buzz Williams down. Completely agree. Because you're not overly concerned with the run. That could change. We talk about there's 3 phases of the game every week, right? The first quarter, you're collecting information. What are they doing? Does your game plan line up with what you've seen on tape? Are they sticking to what works for them here in the past? The last 4 games saturation +2. Is that the route they're going? The second quarter is all about adjusting to what they did, right, or did not do, and controlling the middle 8. And then the fourth quarter is a standalone game, right? So buzz the box with Evan Williams and don't be overly concerned with the run. Make sure that when they come out in their 2x2 set and they like to run a slot cross concept or a drive concept, make sure you've got whoever's buzzing the box bending and cheating towards wherever Jamar Chase typically is numbers wise. It might be 63% of the time he's a dig on a drive concept. If that's the case, then make sure you got that dig covered and make them beat you left-handed. It's playing the Belichick bullseye defense without playing man coverage bullseye defense, essentially. So, Higgins. Go ahead, Tim.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just saying this is going to be a massive test for our corners. If Nate Hobbs is the dog that I think he is, he's going to have a full workload. Same thing with Keyshawn, dealing with T. Higgins as well. And I'm sure we will see some rotation. I'd like to see Valentine on the field and maximize his opportunities when he's out there as well. But if we get good cornerback play, at least, good in the sense of I don't care if you're, allowing a completion in front of you and wrapping a guy up right away. And, we just keep playing fundamentally sound. It's like you said, getting beat over the top. Can't have any of that because that could be the difference in a game like this. One explosive play could just change everything. Yeah.
Coach Lynn in the chat said, love that breakdown by quarter. Clay, where did you hear that? That is Bill Belichick 101. Bill Belichick, Michael Lombardi 101. And it's my understanding it originally came from Bill Walsh. And listen, I'm the president of the Matt LaFleur fan club, right? I think he's a great schemer. I think he's a great offensive coach. I think his players love him. I think they'll go to bat for him because he breaks out the strap every now and again. But the big thing with LaFleur, what LaFleur is missing, in my opinion, are those aspects of the game. Like he is really I would grade Matt LaFleur on his offensive play calling and his offensive game planning over the course of his career. I'd give him a minimum of an A, maybe even an A+. But when it comes to managing the middle 8, I'm telling you, man, a D+ at the most. It's really bad. And that's why the answer to me isn't, well, we got to fire out the floor and start all over. That's just mind-boggling that there's some fans that feel like that. To me, the answer to that question is, okay, how do you fix that? That coach needs a coach. He needs to hire a senior advisor to come in. And that's not named Rich Bisaccia. Rich Bisaccia's already got this is not what Rich Bisaccia's doing as the assistant head coach, right? And this isn't a dig against Bisaccia. Bring in somebody to help Matt with those situations, right? To kind of pull the reins back a little bit. Now, Matt's got to be willing to lower the ego and ask for that. And I'm telling you, man, if you go back and study Bill Belichick, guys, I spent the last decade studying Bill Belichick. I know people hate his guts. I could care less. He's the greatest coach at the NFL level in the history of the game, in my opinion. Okay. What did he do different than the other coaches? He had a guy by the name of Ernie Adams that was his right-hand man. And he had Ernie Adams with him in Cleveland. And when Art Modell fired Bill Belichick when he moved the team to Baltimore, Art Modell was being a smart ass. He made a comment one time and he said, I'll give the first person $1,000 that could tell me exactly what Ernie Adams does. Right. He had no clue how Belichick operated. Ernie Adams is that dude that's in Belichick's ear. He's got a direct channel to Belichick when he was in New England. Hey, Ernie, what do you think about this? Or Ernie would chime in and say, hey, Bill, here's the percentages on going for it for 2 here, or going for it on 4th down. Or, hey, look for this. Let me give you another example. Go back to the Super Bowl where the Patriots beat the Seahawks. Remember the interception in the end zone?
Yep.
All the media and all the fans portrayed it as, what a knucklehead play by Pete Carroll not running Marshawn Lynch there. Well, you know why they threw the ball there? Because it was going to give them the maximum amount of time left to be able to take 3 shots at the end zone, and you're probably going to run the other 2 times, right? They come out in a stack look right? And they thought, we're going to beat them here. They're going to run a little rub route, and it's just going to be a quick slant. Do you know that the week leading up to that, they said Ernie Adams was combing through the tape for Seattle all year long. And I think he had to go back to like week 4 or week 5 earlier in the year, and he found that stack look and walked through it in practice for New England because Ernie Adams found it. He drew up the play card for the practice sheet. Hey, guys, we need to practice this. Malcolm Butler all week long did not stop it at all. And I think it was Brandon Browner was the guy who was supposed to be playing the other side or the other, Malcolm Butler was supposed to jam and Browner was supposed to shoot. What if you guys are wondering what a stack look is? The receivers are directly over top of each other, and one's going to go out and rub the defender, and that guy's going to fire a slant. And the goal is to create separation between both corners, whether it's man or zone, and they fire that slant in there. Well, you got one guy who's supposed to jam the jammer into the receiver, and the other guy shoots. Well, right before the play started, Brandon Browner told Malcolm, and he probably thought it hasn't worked for Malcolm Butler all week long in practice. He told him, switch with me. You're going to shoot. And sure enough, ball snapped. Browner was a bigger corner. He jammed it, shot his shot, picked the pass off. Patriots win the Super Bowl. Why do I say that? That was Ernie freaking Adams. We need an Ernie Adams on this coaching staff that's going to be in Matt's ear and coaching him along. Let me give you another example real quick. Bill Parcells, right? And I can never remember his name. Bates has to look it up for me every time I've mentioned this on this show over the last couple of years. But Bill Parcells had a personal coach. The same exact thing. Where do you think Bill Belichick got that idea from? He got it from Bill Parcells, his mentor, when he was coming up through the coaching game. Parcells had a guy, I want to say his name was Mickey something. All right. Mickey Cochran, I think was his name.
Yep, Mickey Cochran.
Yep, there you go. Or Corcoran or something like that. But anyway, he took him everywhere he went. When he coached at the Giants, he had Mickey with him. When he went to the Jets, he had Mickey with him. When he went to Dallas, he had Mickey with him. Mickey was his high school basketball coach. Why? What the hell does he know about football? Parcells knew I need somebody to keep my ego in check, to keep me in line. I need a coach's coach. Now, guess who Mickey Corcoran's high school basketball coach was? Vince Lombardi.
Vince Lombardi. I was just going to
shut up.
And that's a great point because it's so true. A great coach, it's almost like the game. The sport is almost irrelevant. You can bring value to a team and to an organization if you understand how to coach. And Vince Lombardi was always a great example of that, right? Coach baseball, coach basketball, and obviously coached a little football too, right?
Bro, they said Lombardi took over a basketball coach. He never coached basketball in his life. He bought a book that some great basketball coach wrote on how to coach basketball, and then he led him to a state championship or something. That high school never coached before in his life. He's just a good teacher. Good teachers make good coaches, right? And then you're going, what the hell's this got to do with T. Higgins? I have no idea. But T. Higgins is a 66.6.
Great photo, though, man. What a photogenic guy, right? Look at that.
Beautiful smile on that guy.
Yeah, look at that.
So, nice hairline.
Yeah, clean hairline, not like the Matthew Golden on Madden, right? Remember that one?
Exactly right. Exactly. But T. Higgins, I want to say this, Jacob, 66.6. Can't overlook this dude. 6'4", 219. If you're going to bend, let me give you the downside to this. If we're going cover 6 and putting the cover 4 side over Jamar Chase, guess what that means? The cover 2 side is over Higgins.
Right.
Got to be careful with that. Got to be real careful.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, they definitely have a double-edged sword there, a two-headed monster, if you will. 2 human meat missiles that we have to absolutely stop. If you had to pick, I know it doesn't work like this, but if you maybe had to select a defender that you'd like to maybe play predominantly against T and one verse against Jamar, which one of our cornerbacks, I guess, style would you think matches up with those receivers? Does that make sense?
I think Keyshawn's going to make T. Higgins have a long.
That's what I was thinking too. I would love to see that, and then maybe have Hobbs go a little more kind of that perimeter area.
Just keep in mind though, our corners don't travel, right? So they're going to be dictating who's going up against what corner, right? So if they decide to isolate Higgins on one side and put Chase with the bunch set or the tray set or the trip set on the other one there in 11, then obviously Higgins might get his fair share of targets.
Yep.
I don't see a scenario where they would put them together, although if they look up and they see, all right, they're playing 2% more cover one man than they have in the past, maybe they want them on the same side of the field where you can get, some rubbing going on there. So again, that's the main focal point of their offense. Their slot wide receiver, Los Savas, 56.9, nothing great there. And then of course we talked about the tight ends. So I think what it's going to come down to is make sure Chase and Higgins don't beat you. Maybe this is the week that we break out of quarters coverage too. That could deter them. If you come out in a lot of shell defense, being in two safeties on the shelf pre-snap, that's going to deter Flacco from taking those shot plays, whether you got a late rotation.
What about some of that?
Exactly. Man, let's see, if we had to pick one, put that back up there, Tim. If we had to pick one against this specific offense here, what would we like? I think what I would like.
Buzz.
See, I would
Buzz.
You're going Buzz. I would go
straight
Cloud.
B's. They called me Buzz.
I would go Cloud on the cover 3. And the reason being is you can play that safety deep and shade to Jamar Chase's side and eliminate him pre-snap. So maybe deter Joe Flacco from even looking his way. You know what I'm saying? Although I think there's going to come a point in this game where he's just going to say, F it. Chase is down there somewhere, right?
Yep.
And when he does, I hope McKinney's the guy that's helping.
I was going to say the X factor will be in full effect if that happens.
Yeah.
I feel like that plays right into our hands. Like if you want to just chuck the ball down the field all day, go more power to you.
Yeah. So when you look at our corners, Nate Hobbs, 68.4. People are raking him over the coals. I think he's playing pretty good football, man. He's still getting his legs under him too from the injury. Keyshawn Nixon is a legit number 1 corner this year to 74.2. He's been playing great. Got a coverage grade of 76.5. Was leading the league before the bye week in pass breakups. The big eyesore is Javon Bullard. Javon Bullard seems to have taken a step back.
You don't say that.
This is not just PFF, but when you watch the tape, you see it. His strength, we've talked about it time and time again, is playing the run fit. He's as good as any slot corner playing the run. I believe that with everything in me. The problem is slot corner's a guy to cover. That's why I would like to see, again, pull that cover 3 image back up for me real quick, Tim. If we do go with a cloud look, right? If we go cloud look, then what it allows the linebacker would be hook curl, the corner would be curl flat. On the opposite side of the cloud, you would probably have your boy Bullard playing the curl flat. I like it. This feels like a cloud game if we're going to be playing cover 3, boys. And what I mean by that is, like for instance, look at the sky look here on the left, right? In a cover 3 sky, the safety is attacking the curl flat. Imagine the slot corner being in the box. Forget the fact that that's a safety and him covering the curl flat. That is what Bullard is built to do. Yep. You know what I mean? When he's attacked the smoke screens and all that stuff. So anyway, thank you for pulling it up, Tim. Appreciate it. So sure. Bullard struggling, but you guys know I've been pretty vocal. I would much rather see Hobbs in the slot and Valentine on the outside. That's just me personally. But Bullard's a 2nd-round pick. They like him. And I tell you, man, when he flashes, though. No doubt about it. So
absolutely.
For just a second, though, can we get a little appreciation for Evan Williams? 72-3 is a rookie, and now he's a 73-1.
Here's
Jake,
the guy.
We all jumped on board with the Javon Bullard train last year in the draft, right? We were like, that's our dude. They took Evan Williams a little later in the draft. We're like, okay, yeah, well, we got a little bit of depth, whatever. Thank God they took the second swing, right? This dude's a dog, man.
I mean, I'll go so far as to say I was obviously Javon Bullard fan club #1. I was more excited about Kitano Oladapo than I was over Evan Williams, and I think obviously a lot of fan base was on board with that. We talked about how he looked like a dog; he could make some big hits, some hit sticks, but I think me and you both are our kind of overall consensus. It just doesn't seem like he can cover well, and we don't know if he can translate his type of play style to the NFL. Very happy that I was wrong a lot. Glad to be wrong about Evan Williams. Plus,
Absolutely.
it's just cool that like the drink only spelled the same. I really, really like that. He's just a baller, man, and he just seems like he fits in with the city, with the community, the organization. I am just over the moon at just again. We go back. We've talked about it many times over the last few episodes or last season. Goody being able to absolutely flip the safety room from what it was being an absolute liability to being a freaking strong suit where we have guys sitting on the bench that could be possible starters for other teams is, I think, something that needs to be studied.
Yeah, and you'll notice here, Evan Williams, look at the majority of his snaps this year, guys. 157 snaps at free safety. That means post safety. He's playing deep, right? I imagine McKinney's going to have more box snaps. Let's see, though. Maybe he won't. Now he's got 174 at free safety as well, 71 in the box. And if you go back to Williams has only 47 in the box. So obviously the math ain't math in there, PFF, but we'll go with it. Okay, you gotta trust the numbers. You know what the PFF fans say. So with that being said, though, I think McKinney's going to be fine. I think they're steering clear of him. They've been doing it all year long, and really love the fact that Evan Williams said, "Okay, cool. You want to target me? You're going to pay." I love it, man. Mm-hmm. So
absolutely.
All right. Anything else here in terms of their offense against our defense? Anything I missed? Jacob, you got anything on the forefront of your mind? Any over-unders or anything with the Browns? Anything at all,
man? If you meant Bengals, no. I one thing that when you said
it's the Browns West here.
Yeah. When you said you were talking about how just you needed somebody to, like, for Coach LaFleur to have somebody maybe in his ear that kind of humbles him or whatever, it immediately made me think of a quote. And I was like, God, I can't remember what it was. It was from a story apparently that goes back to Marcus Aurelius, Roman, guy hired an assistant as he would walk through the Roman emperor in the towns and greeting the people in the town square. He hired an assistant. His only role was to literally sit behind him and go, "You're only a man. You're only a man." As people were literally like throwing them and kissing his feet and like trying to just worship him. He literally had a guy that his only job was to remind him to, like, be humble, get your, keep your head square. And I think that was a great point you made, that's probably, and he's a young guy. We forget how young Matt LaFleur is. Like, right. He is just absolutely, like, it's crazy seeing, like, I don't know about you guys, when I watch these guys on the TV, it feels like, for whatever reason, I see them as older than I am. And I'm like, I'm 38. Right. I'm like old enough to be some of these dudes' daddies. Like, right. It's just kind of weird.
Never know.
That perspective.
It might be.
You know what? Know. There could be a few. My Nashville days, man, I hope that's true. I need some money.
I'd say my papa got some kids hovering around somewhere we don't know about. I probably got a couple siblings here or there. But what was I going to say? Oh, and I want to be clear about the Matt LaFleur thing too. I personally, Jacob, I don't think it's ego with Matt LaFleur.
No.
I think it's emotion. I think he gets so like, damn it, I know my guys I know we can convert right here. I know we can get, complete one more pass and ice this game. And that's where I'm mind boggled that some people think he's conservative as opposed to aggressive. And I could be wrong, man. I ain't above reproach in that aspect. I could be looking at it wrong, but I just kind of feel like for him, he needs someone just to bounce ideas off of here every now and again. More so during the week, right?
Yeah.
Then, yes, it's important during the game too, but like Bill Belichick once said, people think that we're having these great drawn out conversations on the sideline because they were talking about how Parcells were always at each other's throats. Parcells was about to kill LT. LT was about to kill Belichick. Belichick was about to kill the next guy. And he said, I love what Belichick said, because he was raised in a military family. Stephen Belichick, his dad, was a military guy, right? Navy guy. And he was a football coach as well. He actually created, many people don't know this, but he created the grading system that dominates the NFL, right? Stephen Belichick actually created that player grading system. But he said, what Belichick said about those situations with him and Parcells was, when you're in the heat of the moment, you're in the heat of the battle, you give an order and you take an order. There's no time to hash it out or have hard feelings or, yeah, he got mean with me. It ain't none of that. It's time to go. And you guys, I'm telling you, man, if you want to watch a great football doc, go to YouTube. It's worth the purchase too if you have to buy it. It's a 30 for 30 called Two Bills. And it's Bill Belichick and Bill Parcells. They finally get them to sit down together because they, as they describe in there, they were more friendly than friends, right? Because they butted heads along the way too. Damn, what a great conversation. I've seen it. I bet I've seen it 200 times. And if I ever catch it on TV, it's a remote drop. It's unbelievable. It's called Two Bills. Watch that. You'll learn so much about football in just that little doc there. It's wild. So anyway, I know people get tired of hearing Belichick on this particular program, but it's just like Michael Jordan in the 90s. I was too young. I loved basketball back then. That's when basketball was actually basketball and not this flopping around BS that you see today. But the thing about someone like Jordan or, Belichick being the greatest, or even Brady being the greatest quarterback of all time, just insert someone, is when you've got the opportunity to learn from someone in real time that's the greatest at their profession. How big of an ego do you have to go, I don't like him, I ain't listening to anything they got to say? And well, he cheated. Yeah. You can find every single organization that's cheated along the way.
You ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah. When they deflated those balls, people forget about Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers going, yeah, I actually like a little more pressure in our ball. And the Packers organization like, shut up, Aaron. Like he was overinflating the ball because he felt like it was harder for the defense to pick the pass off, harder to catch, right? Mm-hmm. And he had large enough hands that he could grip it and spin it and put that thing on a dime. So that stuff goes on. The Chicago Bears got caught one year filming practice. Nobody talked about it because the Bears sucked. They couldn't even win when they were cheating. But when the team that's cheating wins, you make an example of it, right? So anyway, anything else, boys? Anything else y'all want to hit on before we wrap up here? We could probably go another 12 minutes if y'all want to. But
what do you got, Jacob? Anything on your mind?
Honestly, no. I mean, I'm just I saw a few people in the chat talking about how Edgerrin Cooper needs to have a little bit of a bounce back game. I did see some uncharacteristically kind of sloppy play from him in certain aspects. Missing a couple tackles in the backfield where he would have had a tackle for loss when it ended up, I believe, bouncing out and getting like an 11-yard run. I want for him to get it just feels like we need to have a get right game. And I'm a little bit nervous just because of the whole trap aspect that this kind of feels like Joe Flacco. I do think, though, like you talked about, Tim, that him having to come in and learn an offense and kind of put it all together, I think that the pendulum swings a little more in our favor for that. And I just think that Parsons is going to be absolutely salivating to just ruin Joe Flacco's debut in Cincy.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. And I think that's going to free up guys like Coop to have a hell of a game, right? If you're talking about a bounce back game.
And Gary.
And Rashawn. Yeah. But keep in mind, an off day, like we talked about this, an off day for Edgerrin Cooper is pretty damn good linebacking by NFL standards. There's guys that would love to put up the kind of numbers and, get graded the way he did. But, it's year 2. We have to remember that just because Coop, plays like a veteran, looks like he's been a pro for, 8 or 9 or 10 seasons already, doesn't mean he is. And, he's always improving, always getting better. But I think to your point, like, even like what Clayton was mentioning, let's not get overly aggressive. Let's rush 4 and get home. That being said, I think Mike is going to have a hell of a day. And then it should make things easier on Quay and Cooper back there and McDuffie as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you look at the PFF grade here for Cooper, PFF agrees with you, Jacob. Like he's not playing as good as he did last year. And we talk about the sophomore slump. And if his sophomore slump is a 73, sign me up, right? Yep. But let's cross-check this. We've hit on PFF quite a bit. We got a few minutes here. So I'm going to jump into NFL Pro real quick. And let's see how he's stacking up with the rest of the defense. If we show all players here on defense, leading the team in tackles is Quay Walker with 42. Edgerrin Cooper has 33. Let's talk about stops. In stops, Quay has 22. Edgerrin Cooper has 20. All right. Hustle stops, where you cover 20 yards of ground and make the stop. Cooper is leading the team with 8. Quay's got 6. All right. In that regard, Edgerrin Cooper's got a half sack. Quay doesn't have one yet, although we blitz Cooper more than we blitz Quay for sure. Let's see in pass defense here. Edgerrin Cooper has been targeted 22 times. He's given up 28 catches. Don't like that number. The rating is an 88.4. Quay Walker has been targeted 20 times, only given up 16 catches, but a lot more yards at 152 to Edgerrin Cooper's 115. So the rating for Quay is 115. That's because he gave up a touchdown there as well. So Quay's playing much better football this year. I'm really excited about that. I hope they can get him on a steal of a deal. That would be absolutely awesome. But yeah, even though Edgerrin Cooper's having a down year, he's still second on the team in stops, which is really cool. And look at Gary, right back to doing what he did last year in run stops. 15 run stops. Now here, this is a perfect example.
Look at Bullard, though, too.
When you look at Micah Parsons' PFF grade, you go, he is dominating, right? Well, look at the run stops for Parsons, only 8. Gary has almost doubled his run stops, right? And when you look at run D snaps, Parsons has 44, so Gary only has 6 more snaps than him on run defense snaps, right? So Gary, a much better run defender than Micah Parsons. No surprise there. We talked about Micah's not a bad run defender. It's just not his superpower. But then when you look at sacks, Gary with 4.5, 2 of which came with Micah on the sideline. Micah's only got 2.5 sacks. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Look at the quarterback pressures. Gary only has 12 pressures. Micah has 26 pressures. His pressure percentage, let's just sort by that real quick. Pressure percentage on the team, Micah Parsons leads the way. Evan Williams has got 100%. He's only blitzed one time, evidently, and he hit home with the pressure. But 22.4% of the time, Micah Parsons is hitting home with pressure. Quay Walker, a stack backer, obviously is going to be a little bit inflated, 16.7. Baron Sorrell, 16.7%. So you look at the PFF grade for Sorrell and you go, he's playing bad football. Pressure percentage suggests otherwise at 16.7. Although, Tim, remember that last game we showed that running play where Baron Sorrell got caught peeking, didn't he? He got too aggressive upfield and gave up that explosive run. So
it may explain the lower snap count for him, 17 snaps. I mean, they're probably going to try and pepper him in stages here. You only learn by doing sometimes, right? So I think it's tough though. But yeah, if you're becoming a liability on the field in certain situations, then they're gonna dial back those looks for you. But I fully think Baron Sorrell is going to progress really nicely. I do. I think he's a good player. It's just I don't know. It's really tough at this point. But with Wyatt being out, there's an opportunity here. You never know.
Yeah. The other thing too, I want to point out. To the best of my knowledge, we're the only program that talks about this. You can tell when they're harnessing a pass rush to play the run. We've talked about the touch spy. We've seen it again last week on the tape. And when people were talking about last week, the most casual thing that I hear sports talk hosts talk about is, well, when they're double teaming Parsons, Gary's got to hit home. Well, if they're firing Parsons on a true pass rush and they're still focused on stopping the run, guess who's the edge defender who's staying at home to play the run a little bit safer? It's Gary.
Right.
If you didn't
maintain your edge.
Yes. If you didn't see the run stop numbers attached to Gary, I would be on board with that. Like, hey, he's got to play better. But you're seeing that's the game plan is they're turning Parsons loose and Gary's playing a little more of a controlled rush. He's still going after the quarterback, but he's making sure he's playing the run on his way to the quarterback. With Parsons, they're going, hey, dude, pin your ears back and go, And when they're double teaming you and you're pinning your ears back and going and you're not hitting home because they're double teaming you, and on the other side, you're playing a conservative pass rush, you got to have somebody else hit home. And that should be LVN. And when you look at Lucas Van Ness, 12.8%, that's solid. I mean, that's a solid, again, pressure percent. We talked about last year. He was averaging the second half of the season a 15% pressure rate. He's now stabilized that at 12.8% pressure rate, which is solid. And then, of course, when you look at the stops, he's got 7 stops on 41 run defensive snaps. Got a hustle stop there as well. He's got a half sack and 11 total pressure. So LVN, boys, I'm telling you, man, I hope this might be a blessing in disguise with Wyatt getting banged up a little bit. Maybe they really press into LVN playing more 3-tech. That's what I think we should do. But what do you think about those numbers, Jacob? Anything you want to add there, man? Any other player you want to see any specific numbers on?
No, I just was going to ask because correct me if I'm wrong, kind of the metric that's out there is that anything above 10% is considered good, right? Anything more than that 12 to 15 is pretty damn good, and anything above that is pretty great. When you look at Micah Parsons, obviously that's awesome. You look about Quay being a kind of off-ball backer there. Baron Sorrell, limited, and I should say limited, but a smaller amount of snaps. That's very encouraging, though. Obviously, we know what we got in Coop, but like you said, Lucas Finesse, I would argue that he would probably have a higher percentage if he was predominantly playing more edge, but we do kick him inside so often that he probably has that number tamped down a bit. And to the same point, I think Kingsley maybe plays that role a little bit more like you were talking about when Gary's not in there. We have such a rotation where these guys as assignments aren't going to always be like the Parsons thing, go pin your ears back, just go. I feel like they're going to have a lot of these guys be a little more disciplined in the way that they are rushing the quarterback. We talked about that for multiple seasons now, how we were trying to stop the run just more predominantly. We didn't want, like Tim said, we want somebody that's a true edge setter. And I think that you can only do that with a certain type of people that bought into the scheme and understand what the coaches want from them. And I think Hafley is the perfect type of coach, that he's not just barking at you and telling you what, he's telling you the why of what we're doing. Like they talk about how he's such a great teacher or such a great coach because he's a great teacher, and explaining to these guys what their purpose is. There he is. So I don't know. I just think that that's really cool. And it's really encouraging to see that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, roughly 5 guys that are actually true pass rushers that are in that top echelon there. What do you think, Tim?
Yeah. Remind us what our defensive line coach's name, Tim.
What's that?
I said, remind us what our defensive line coach's name.
Oh, DeMarcus Covington, man, of course, and Coach Ogabasi as well too. Second season with us. This is yeah, man, and the Ball King all are doing great with these guys. And to Jacob's point, you brought up Kingsley Enagbare, and I remember that was a guy that we saw a lot of potential in, and we were concerned about him not maintaining the edge, breaking contain. Over pursuit, getting yourself washed out into the backfield on plays. We haven't seen that from him at all, really, this year. We've seen him kind of, like you said, buy into what Hafley's expecting of these guys, and I think he's playing a much better football there. So you're right. It's a testament to having such a good edge group that we've got guys that understand their roles, and what they're supposed to do. It's not what the average fan thinks it is. Believe it or not, all of those guys are not trying to sack the quarterback on every play. You have responsibilities and jobs to do. And it's nice to see our young players that are, growing into their NFL careers here, and they're fully enveloped in what is expected of them within this scheme and in certain down and distance situations. And I think Enagbare is one of those guys that, we talked about. We don't know. Is he going to be a Packer next year? Who knows? But he's playing great football for us now when we need him to situationally. And it just makes things easier for us up there.
And he's the only player on this list that's got negative yards allowed. Enagbare, negative 2 yards allowed. Pretty wild statistic there. The other thing I want to point out here real quick, and we'll wrap up. Carl Brooks, right? His pressure percentage is 6.3%. His PFF grade was in the 50s, right? Now, rewind back to last year. Kenny Clark playing the one tech for us, right? His pressure percentage was one of the lowest on the team. His PFF grade was in the dumps. Kenny Clark leaves, goes to Dallas. PFF grade jumps up. Pressure percentage jumps up. Why? Touch spot. It's exactly what they got Carl Brooks doing this year, is the touch spot. So, again, it's selfless. And if these guys that, however the hell they get, the ability to host a sports talk show on Packer football is just mind-boggling to me. That they don't even realize, they don't even see, they don't take the time to study it and understand, all right, what's the pass rush actually doing? What are they trying to accomplish on any particular play? When you see those guys come out in a wide 4, like a double 4 and a double 9, get ready. They're bringing the thunder, right? Yeah. But when you see a guy in a 1 and a 3, typically that 1, most of the time it's a 1, sometimes it'll be the 3. One of those 2 guys are going to touch and spot. They're going to try to get hands on 2 blockers, get a +1 hat count, protect against the run, take away the scramble lane for the quarterback as well. You'll probably see a little bit less of that this week with Joe Flacco. Last week, you've seen it a lot with Dak Prescott, who took that thing and run. So,
absolutely.
All right. That should be it, guys. I think we've covered everything we wanted to cover.
Can I hit a couple stupid chats real quick?
Did we miss some super chats?
No. I said some stupid chats.
Oh,
sorry.
Okay.
Joel for this will understand. Joel for this says, spread the word that Half's favorite cereal is plain Cheerios with lukewarm water. Maybe it'll make him keep him. And then Bates says, and he puts the water in before the cereal.
Is there anybody here, Tim? Do you put the milk in before the cereal? Or do you put the cereal before the milk?
No, cereal before the milk always.
Same.
Yeah, I'm old school. with way too big of a bowl than I should be having, of course.
Man, I'll tell you, I don't eat much cereal these days, but boy, oh boy, when I do, it slaps. It takes me back. It takes me back to 8 years old, sitting in the floor. My mom and dad had that floor model television set. You know what I'm talking about, boys?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Watching Roadhouse on a Saturday morning. My God, it ain't better than that, man.
You were the remote control back in those days, right?
Oh, you kidding me?
Turn that TV up. Change the channel.
I'm telling you, man. And we had one of those old school TVs where you just had like 12 channels, right?
Yep. Clicking it.
Pole like that. And that knob would wear out and you'd have to catch it right in between because it had to, you know what I'm talking about? You had to get the channel just right.
Yep.
Dad be cussing you, smoking his Marlboro Reds. Like, Jesus. So, hearing the cereal hit the bowl. Yeah. Man.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What's your favorite cereal, boys? Let's piss some viewers off real quick. What's your favorite cereal? If you don't know right offhand, then you ain't got one. You got one.
It's Berry Berry Kicks.
I'm Golden Grams all day.
Golden Grams. Lucky Charms is a close second.
Yeah. For me, man, it's them Fruity Pebbles, bro. Or the Dino Bites.
The Dino Bites.
Oh, yeah. Malto meal? Hell yeah.
For those of y'all that was eating on Uncle Ep there, you know what I'm talking about? That EBT, baby. Uncle Ep taking care of it. We had the old school food stamps. Give me those Dino Bites, man. Yeah. Mama say,
J. Cole says, Captain Crunch. If you want to rip the top of your mouth apart, sure, Captain Crunch.
Like doing on a chainsaw, right?
Yeah.
Good flavor, though. Good flavor. Yeah. Well, RFK putting in all this, ain't he? What the hell's his problem?
Yeah, get around us.
I'm like, man, there ain't nothing wrong with the cereal, RFK. Calm down. I walk in the
whoa.
Walk in there for it. You know what I mean? I'm like, what am I doing in here? Maybe I got a touch of it. I don't know. But anyway. All right, that's it, guys. This show sucks. We're out of here. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. We'll be back tomorrow at probably 6 p.m. Central for PTA Live. And we'll give you the latest injury report update. And I think what we'll do is go ahead and start diving into the game plan tomorrow. We'll give a specific game plan geared around how to beat the Bengals, not the Browns, the Bengals. So, as I said, all night long. Tim, tell them about this awesome cause that we're raising awareness for here, man.
Yeah, we can't get out of here until we mention operationhorsesheal.org/how can I help. Make sure you guys donate. Each donation is a chance to win an autographed Romeo Dobbs jersey, but really the most important thing is the mission. I mean, we're helping out veterans and their families. Equine therapy is awesome. Bates will tell you all about it. If you ask him in the chat, he's done something like this similar once before. We're trying to raise money for Operation Horses Heal so that they can get a horse trailer and a truck so they can bring some of these equine programs right to veterans rather than having to get the veterans out to the property. So it gives them a chance to really expand their mission and what they're doing. And it's all about helping veterans, active duty, and their family members. So operationhorsesheal.org/how can I help. Make sure you donate today, man. We'd really appreciate it.
I think it's a great idea too, man, what they're doing there, because like there was a short stint where I was donating products to a veteran house. So it's basically homeless veterans. They put together an old house downtown here in Johnson City, which is about 15 minutes from where I live. And it was donated for veterans. So they set it up, stocked the house where these homeless veterans could come in and stay, get on their feet, and then, get their life turned around. And just the thought of one of those homeless veterans' homes, right, and them being able to bring the horses in to, that's really, really cool. So obviously being able to be mobile in that aspect with that charity is just a great thing. So just glad we can be a small part of it. So
absolutely. Thank you for the Romeo Dobbs jersey for the giveaway, Clayton. Mandy. I should thank Mandy, right? She probably got it from the auction, right?
Yeah. I wake up every morning and go, "Can I have money today?" She's like, "Here's $10." So that's the way that works. But she's definitely purchased that. So, but that's the least we can do, man, to give back to the awesome veterans out there. So, make sure you guys check it out. And if you're watching on X, the easy way to get to that link is just go to my Twitter profile, my X profile, click on it. You'll see a tweet that's pinned at the top of the page. And I quote tweeted Tim. Just click on his tweet there, and you'll have the link right there. It's real easy to get in and donate and give yourself a chance to win a cool piece of memorabilia and give back to a great cause as well. So that's it, guys. We'll see y'all tomorrow, 6 p.m. Central for PTA Live. Everybody have a wonderful evening. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. And go Pack, go.
Here we go.
Bye, guys.